And away we go. It is the Nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar right here on BearcatJournal.com. Located in Cheviot, right on Harrison Avenue. They're in the Dora District. You can walk from bar to bar with your drinks, but why would you need to when you can hang out at Hail Mary's? They have 27 TVs, a 9-screen video wall. There's not a bad seat in the house. They subscribe to every sports package that DirecTV offers. They can stream all the games, and Cincinnati sports will always be on the video wall. They have food trucks on the weekends, a brand new walk-in cooler, brand new draft lines, and not only do they pour the coldest beer around, but they do so in 32.8-degree beer frosted glasses. They will have specials on Saturday. If you can't make it to the game, head over to our friends at Hail Mary's and enjoy some buckets of beer and watching the Bearcats take on Arizona State at noon. All right, Aaron. Let's get this show on the road. I'm done with today. I'm over it.
Big week.
It's been a lot. It's been a lot going on. Volleyball season is over. The podcast issue, I believe, is fixed. So we should be back on Spotify and Apple and iHeart and all of that good stuff. Should all be rectified and taken care of. That was a wonderful exchange where I talked with the company that was having issues. They identified that they were having issues. I said, I am having issues. They said, we fixed the issues. I said, my issue is still not fixed. They said, well, we fixed the issues. So good luck. Be looking for a new podcast host. Anyhow, in between all that, I was at UC earlier today for Scott Satterfield's weekly press luncheon, and it is time for talking about talking. How was your day? Was your day all right? I didn't ask. I didn't care today.
No, it's fine.
Okay.
My day was
good.
It's we made it through the day, and that's all you need to do. And what I'm doing
every day. Is the 2-year-old still trying to kill the infant?
Yeah, but we didn't have an incident today. She did try with she gave her a bank and tried to shove it through her face, I think. But you know,
But that's minor. That's
I don't. When I was finishing up dinner, there's a red mark on her entire chin. The 2-year-old's. That I don't know where it came from. I have no idea.
Oh boy! All right, talk about talking. Have out of there.
All right. So Coach said on Saturday the defense played well. Sorsby bounced back after not having a great first half, and those were all things that he liked to see. This week is homecoming. And you have two teams that are trying to get to a Big 12 championship. And right now, until you get that second loss, I think you can include them in the conversation.
They're not out of it.
Nope, not by any stretch. Scatabo, he said this was I liked this quote until he started saying it over and over again. And then I found it less enjoyable. But Scatabo is going to try and run right through you and make you like it. And I thought that was probably the funniest thing I've ever heard Satterfield say. But again,
that is how he runs.
He went back to the well on that same saying
a couple
2 or 3 times. And it was like, come on, man. Said that Arizona State has a stingy defense that gets after the quarterback, and they want to run the ball, but they also want to control the clock, which is a little bit different than what Texas Tech did, whereas they wanted to run the ball as well, but they also wanted to just be fast, score as many times, run as many plays as they could, and all of that. Arizona State isn't necessarily trying to do that.
And I asked that question, and I guess I didn't ask it in the way that I probably wanted to. What I meant more was towards the balance that the two teams have. I mean, they both play with a great deal of balance where Arizona State, at least early in the season, it was just the run game. Like they leaned on that heavy. As the season has progressed, they have really started to pass the ball pretty well, playing off of the run game. So that's what I was comparing to Texas Tech. But I would, obviously agree with them. They do not run tempo the way that Texas Tech runs tempo, but they do like to keep you on your heels by mixing in a steady dose of the pass with Scatterbo.
And I imagine that that's probably happened because of how successful their running game has been. You have to load the box, so the pass game comes naturally and all of that. Said that Jake Golday is starting to come into his own. We've been talking about that now for the last couple of weeks on the various shows on this network, so we know.
That you can all find on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, all of that stuff. It's back.
All right. He said that Scatterbo is hard to tackle. Shocker. As were both RJ Harvey and Taj Brooks. We know that's three guys in the top 10 when you played them of rushers in the nation, not in the top 10 of the Big 12.
Right. No, America.
Way behind Ashton Genty though. My goodness, that guy.
What a freak.
Said that Arizona State's identity is playing hard and tough, running the ball. They play fast, and the defense causes havoc. That is coach speak at its finest. I feel like
but that is their right. Like they have a deep, like a gritty, like it's like saying like Matt Campbell. He's like the college Matt Campbell. Like his teams will run through a brick wall for him. That's how they play.
They're gonna bite your knees. This was another quote that I thought was great. Used to be nip at night, now it's nip at noon. I had not yet heard that, but you ain't wrong.
Well, here's the thing about that we're going to have to get used to, Aaron. There's not a lot of teams in the Eastern time zone in this conference.
Right.
So guess who's going to get hit with those noon time slots more often than not? The teams in the Eastern time zone. Yeah.
And UCF.
And Central Florida.
Yep.
So, yeah, be used to that.
Said that Dante has played into shape and had a great last 2 or 3 games. We talked about that last night on the BBP. Also said that Cam Rutherford should be back this week. Tinsley should be back this week as well. And health should help the production of the running game. When you get a guy like Tinsley back, who we've talked about, that could have NFL potential. Does
have NFL potential.
That's a huge get back. And then obviously any depth that you can get on the defensive line is nothing but a good thing.
Yeah.
He did have an answer. I don't recall what the question was at this point, but did have an answer that I thought was probably worth a deeper conversation than we're going to be able to have here. But said that they are building a team and the players that they want to impact that team, essentially putting together a group of leaders, and the guys who step up are even bigger leaders than that. And that heart gives you a chance to win. As we were talking about The Replacements last night, great movie. And that these things take time. Just kind of talking about how his roster construction has gone, how they are already past where they were last season, how things in the locker room are better. Winning fixes that, by the way. But just, I know that the offseason they had, I've heard from multiple players, coaches, etc., that it was the hardest thing that they'd ever gone through. I don't think that's just lip service, and we're seeing it all come together this season. I think that whatever happens the rest of the season, I still think that what has happened since last season has been a huge success for the staff, for the players. Even if all you get to is 6 wins and the bowl game, I think that that's been just monumental from where you came from last year.
Yeah.
So they are always competing every position, including kicker. Does expect to work through some things this week at kicker. Went on to say that if the box is getting stacked, you have to be able to throw it. He can't care about who is touching it. They have to move the ball. He's not sitting there trying to think who needs to get their stats. I know that Sorsby talks about it probably more often than coach, but this team literally is just taking what the defense gives them. And that's been kind of the theme of this season. Then he said that Tyron Smith was a candidate potentially for red shirt this year. Aaron Turner, another one, is a candidate for red shirt this year. Chance Williams may also red shirt this year. We'll see what happens with those guys. Tyron Smith, as he works through the hamstring, but Aaron Turner and Chance, it sounds like maybe because they just aren't seeing the playing time that they were hoping to get. So we'll see what happens. But coach said he wants to do what's in the best interest for the students. So we'll see. Says that what will hurt you most is what you want to take away. And then you have to slow down Scatabo, period. So it sounds like that's what is going to hurt you the most. So this team is focusing on stopping the run. And that you can't press the offense just because the opponent tends to control the clock and limit those possessions. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to play the sit back and wait game because you might only get 6, 7, 8 possessions, the entire game instead of the normal 11, 10, 11, 12 is usually normal.
See, and coach wasn't here when we had to play the Air Force games, the Navy games. He doesn't know what slogs those were. Army. All right.
I don't remember Air Force anytime recently, but there were a lot of Navy and a little bit of Army scattered in there.
Joe Royer said, coming off a bye, it was good to head to Orlando and steal one. He doesn't tell Sorsby that he needs to get the ball, but he is always working to get open. We know. He doesn't mind playing fullback, and then said it was great to see kind of that full circle come around as he came into the season with 4 catches. He had more than that, had 2.5 times more than that this past game. So the numbers are showing that the work is paying off. And then he does like the noon games compared to night games, so your whole day isn't just tick-tock, waiting for the game. Yeah.
That's the hard, that's when you Colorado next week, 10-15, you're just, you're not even going to the stadium until 7 o'clock.
Which, yeah. I mean, 10-15 is what, 1 o'clock this time? No.
Well, no, it's 10-15 here.
10-15.
So it'll be
10-15 here. 7 o'clock. 7.
Yeah.
There we go.
But your time clock is not going to
bode
well.
Your internal clock is all jacked.
Yeah. You just sleep all day.
Pretty much.
Just hang out in bed in the hotel and just crash.
You get a day where you get to act. You get a day where you get to act like a normal college kid.
Right. For a couple hours at least.
Yeah. Brendan Sorsby said he thought he was seeing things well in the first half, but it was coming off his hand in a way that he didn't like. And that he definitely felt in rhythm the second half. Said that Joe Royer is a big guy and will come down with it, who also gets separation. It's a great weapon. Softballs. Said coach is asking what he's seeing shows confidence. Like when Satterfield asked him what he was seeing at halftime, shows confidence in him, and he likes that they have that connection and they can use that to their advantage going forward. Said with teams keying in on Hendo, that it's been big that lots of other guys have been showing up when called upon, and we have seen a team not lacking in any regard there. Yeah. So that Corey's a great lead blocker when asked. He did. This was a weird answer to me. Said he did practice handing off with his offhand due to injury. He was a little dinged up, and that he just kept doing it that way during the game because that was how they had practiced it. Something to keep an eye on.
Still had that glove on the left hand.
Something to keep an eye on.
Yeah.
And then said that when they see the stacked box, they're going to try and pass. It is a numbers game, which we'll see if Arizona State's going to try and stymie the run. We have the weapons. So we'll see how that goes. And then last weekend was massive, but this is a huge game as far as the team goals go for this season. He was beating around the bush to it, but coach straight up came out and said, we're going for the championship, and we need this one. So, and then what is it? Nate Fuqua? How are we saying this? Because I heard somebody in the background yell a different name than what Keegan said. I think Keegan said Nate Fuqua. I thought it was
Fuqua.
That's
It's
what
Fuqua.
I thought.
Keegan likes to just make up pronunciations for names.
Did he take French at some point? Like,
I don't know. He called Tyron Smith Tyron for like the entire off. I'm like, it's Tyron. He's like, that's not how you say it. I'm like, it's how you say it. You just decided you were going to call him Tyron. Kids.
Anyway, yeah. This was if you had any questions about Antoine Peak, this was the interview to listen to, because my goodness, all of the questions were about Antoine Peak, except for the last question. But essentially, Antoine Peak emulates what they want from the team. He stands out from his effort. He has a knack for punching the ball out. He is relentless and has that want to, like his dad did. His motor doesn't stop. Texas Tech was the big jump for Antoine Peak. Contact, speed, and that knack for punching the ball are the biggest things that he brings to the table outside of his size. And then Scatterbo has a little bit of RJ Harvey and Taj Brooks in him. That was what I got from all of that.
You know who I chatted with at practice for a while today? Antoine Peak Sr. And he said that is something that the punch the ball out. He said that's something that he was very proficient at in his playing days. And it was something that when Antoine was little, kind of taught him that. And he said they tried not to give him credit for the first one. And I was like, I know. I was calling that out. Like, that was Peak. It wasn't Bartlett. Everybody was saying it was Bartlett. He was like, yeah, he got him. He got him. And then he said that
Proud Papa moment.
Yeah, he said that's kind of how, he's always been taught to play with that aggression. I said that's not easy to do, to hit somebody. Most guys, when they're doing that, that's all they do. Like, they lose their technique to do anything else.
Correct.
He hits you and has worked in, like, as part of his tackle,
the rep.
He punches the ball out. And he said, the kid's trying to catch him and break his record. And I said, records are made to be broken. So why not have your son break the record? He goes, records are made to be broken, but that one's still up 20 years later. I was like, you're right.
Well, and Antoine Peak did receive, he was picked for the PFF National Team of the Week. He was the highest graded safety in the Big 12 and the number 2 safety in the nation this week, for those of you keeping score. So,
yeah.
There you go.
Yep. So, all right. That's the nightcap, brought to you by Hail Mary Sports Bar, right here on BearcatJournal.com.
See ya.